Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to run Unreal Engine 5 on a super low-end hardware at 60 FPS. Right now I'm recording, but I'm still going to show you like it will run at 60 FPS. Like like as long as it has a DX11 and 6 gigabyte of RAM, it will run at 60 FPS. You can also run it at like 4 gigabyte, but you might have some issues. So remember, you need at least 4 gigabyte of RAM and a DX11 GPU to make this happen, and then it will run flawlessly. So yeah, I mean, first we will make our project as usual. It will take some time. I also have a Intel HD 4000, so you guys can see somewhere. I don't know if it shows here, but yeah, anyway, let's make our project. Migration tutorial. tutorial. The first thing you have to make sure like it's to like switch it to DX11. I think by default it's already because you don't have a DX12 GPU, but it's good to make sure, and it will say a lot of features like because we don't have the GPU. And first make an empty map because this map is like full and this requires too much resources, and just control S to save it, new map, whatever, it doesn't matter. And later we will also disable plugins because there are a lot of plugins we really don't need. So first go to maps and mods, and like when you open your editor again, it will open this new map. So it won't open the other default because it's too heavy. And yeah, that is it. So now we will make sure our RHI is target, you see, is set to the, by the way, it's showing DX12, but it's actually not, because it doesn't even compile the shader or anything. And make sure SM5, SM, if there is like SM6 or anything on the DX12, make sure it's disabled. The DX11, SM5, yeah, it's there is yeah only SM5, so no worries. And then we just restart, and you see it won't even compile the shaders, so it's already DX11, but I think it's some bug, so it's showing the DX12, but it's not. And also first disable nanites, and then disable lumen, all of this hardware ray tracing or whatever. Yeah, and then also disable anti-aliasing, FXA, search anti or anti-aliasing you can disable, and also disable motion blur, we don't need it, and it requires, and also auto exposure, like when you like go from like a dark like from a cave to open, there is like this natural eye adaptation thing, and it's all like it's annoying anyway. Even if you have a good GPU, you should disable it unless you need it for some specific reason, but usually it's not needed. So yeah, disable that. And other than that, I think we are done with the search, and now we go to rendering. And yeah, disable all these mobile unless you need it. You know what, I'm gonna just keep it that way. And yeah, also you have to go, yeah, shadow map method, shadow map method, make sure it's 2 because it's demanding, it's not for the whole GPUs. And yeah, change it to shadow maps. And then after that, suppose all this path tracing, any of this is also, yeah, we don't need any of this. And also do it forward shading because forward rendering is faster for old PCs. We don't need default rendering. So yeah, I also enable that. You need to compile your shaders again because you know it's a different rendering pipeline. Mobile HDR, and also disable this custom depth stencil. I don't know what this is, but we don't need custom depth with temp TI. We don't need TI, and also disable bloom, ambient occlusion, ambient static for back. I don't think we even need backlighting. Maybe if you do, you can enable it, and here disable. And by the way, when you switch to like forward rendering, it will be to MSA by default, but I'm gonna show you in config file. You can like change it, like you can change the anti-aliasing method from there, so don't worry. Other than that, we and here like there are, yeah, also disable that because all like interior graphics, like Intel, they don't support variable red shading, so this is also just useless. And this thing, local fog volumes, like it here it depends on you. I don't know what this is actually about, but like sky atmos, you can disable it if you want, like if you don't need them, but I'm gonna keep it that way because this one is, I think, also useless. Yeah, but yeah, these things, it's your choice, like you can or not. Yeah, also disable this hair strand. Uh, yeah, I think we are almost done. And by the way, there are some things like I don't know what this is exact. So it's some experimental stuff. You can disable this also. So yeah, I mean, other than that, we have to disable some plugins. Like, for example, unless you are making a 2D game, then maybe. But we don't need it. And by the way, don't disable AI support because some plugins did. I was making a Pong game recently, and I was using the floating pawn component, and when I like it was disabled, like it was working in the editor but it wasn't working on the build, and I was so confused, like what's happening. So then I enabled it, then it started working again. In 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 editor it was completely fine, but in the build it didn't. So watch out for these weird issues. And I usually disable Android plugins. It's up to you, but I don't make Android games, so yeah, I mean, and you can disable meta sounds. And you can also disable this one. Sound fields, we I think need the engine camera. We need this. Don't disable this. We need this. This is for compression. So like if you like this disable, your build will be actually bigger because it compresses the textures. And SQLite, I don't need this. I can disable. It's a very light database. It runs locally on your machine, but I don't need it. Denoising, disable any of the denoisers. Like this is like ray tracing stuff. Of course, we are not gonna run it. And this device profile, we don't need them. We only need the Windows one. It's up to you. I also disable bridge because I don't need it because it's a low-end PC. And you object. Yeah, you can. Yeah, this is also like not necessary. I disable it in my Pong game. It was fine. It's for, I think, creating custom U objects or something. Apple, yeah, we don't need this back channel. Yeah, we also don't need this batch renamer. Like you can like select like 100 files and you can like change its properties and stuff. Yeah, it's useful. I have used it. Niagara, I will not be using Niagara because it's demanding on IntelliJ 4000. So disable that. State 3. This can be useful, yeah. Don't disable the AI stuff. Speed 3, I don't think anybody will need it. So yeah, I mean, stylus tab, yeah, this is also useless. And I don't even use a control. If you need a controller, you can use it, but I just disable it. I don't need it. RDG, yeah, this is some profiling stuff. Me actor that can, yeah, this is also useless. I don't use it. Yeah, disable all this. Android media, I don't need any. If you need it, you can, like, your specific platform you can see, like Windows, don't disable it, but I don't need any of them on such a low end PC. What am I gonna play? And all this networking stuff. If you need it, you can keep it, but I also don't. I just make single player games. If you are also just making single player games, you just disable as many things as possible. You know, get the most performance. This is also useless. Mac graphics. We are not. We will not be making game for Mac on Intel HD. You know. Yeah, this is also useless. We don't need ML. Yeah, we don't need to access the mobile location. Disable all these online multiplayer stuff. I don't know what exactly this is, so I'm not gonna disable it. Yeah, and by the way, you can also disable asset tags. Like if you are using tags, then keep it. I disable it and I had no issues. Yeah, and full body I care, it's up to you. And this is also useless. UV editor, I don't think I need to do 3D modeling. I can just use Blender and stuff. Crypto keys, just keep them maybe. Let's hope doesn't break anything. Yeah, I don't know what this is, so I'm not gonna disable it because I did disable some of them and then I couldn't like see, you know, like state RHI, so maybe keep them. But if you don't care about monitoring performance, which you will if you have a low end PC, so I guess don't like disable them. But if you need to like you know, keep track of performance, keep them enabled. And also disable fracture, I don't need to do this. Is these are like, you know, like just high end PC stuff. You can like you know, you can add a physics simulation, like the way that like things can break, or like it's for physics simulation, and you won't be doing it with such low end hardware, you know. So disable that. Chaos caching, yeah, we don't need that. We won't be doing any physics simulations. You disable that. I think this is like the cut one. You know what, I'm gonna enable it because who knows what exactly it is. And well, matrices, I think this was for accessing the location or something. I think it was also useless. Yeah, and here just enable one, your one editor. Like I use Visual Studio, so I just disable everything except like, yeah. Yeah, by the way, if you disable this, you won't be able to go to your plugins. Then you will have to go to your U project, you know, like open with Notepad, and then you here plug utility. It was here somewhere. Then you will have to enable that. Let me try to find it. Yeah, this plugin browser. You have to enable this plugin browser or plugin. Yeah, plugin browser. Yeah, you have to enable this to true. If you ever lose it, if you can't go like there, here will be none of this, only world setting and project setting. So yeah, no worries, you can even do that. Anyway, yeah, so disable all these plugins except plugin utilities. and in your like main editor. Like for me it's Visual Studio, so maybe for you also. And also disable these rendering plugins, render doc. This is for like debugging graphics. Like you can use it for any game, but we won't be needing it. And also this dumb GPU service, we don't need this. And cable, like you can make cables, like connect them with two objects, like poles. We don't need this. I don't know what this is, so I'm not gonna disable. And I think we also don't need the custom. Yeah, it's for modifying geometry, so we don't need it. Pics. Yeah, this is also a graphics debugger. We don't need this. Runtime. MC. Yeah, this is some library we don't need. Yeah, keep the Python, and I think it uses it. And here you can also disable any of the most people are gonna use Git, so you can disable all this and keep this enable. I think this is like here it's used. And yeah, this still I think it sends data or something related. Like we don't have a studio, right? So we can also disable this automation tools. Yeah, keep this. The recorder, I don't know what this is. I have never used it, but keep it enabled. Maybe this is like the sequencer thing, but I have never used it, so I don't know. Let's restart our PC. It's gonna take some time. It's gonna compile all the shaders. uh, as you can see, a lot of shaders. Like we have literally nothing, but still so many shaders. And this is by the Unreal 5.5. This is like the latest version, and I'm running it on Intel HD 4000 i7 3770, and it's gonna run at 60 FPS. You will see. You can run it even more than 60, but then it will just be an empty scene. But you can run it at like 20,000 triangles at like 60 50 FPS on unlit, by the way. Like you won't be using lighting because then it will get demand. It will then run it like even then it can still run it like 30 FPS. Like it's playable, like more than playable actually. 30 FPS in game dev is like good FPS. So anyway, let's see the FPS. Let's add some things into our scene, like let's add a cube. Like let's do one lit mode. Let's make it big. And by the way, you can also lower the settings. Like you can make it 50%, and it will run at even more FPS. T.max FPS 0. So the FPS should be max. No, I don't know. There's some glitch. T.max FPS 300. Yeah, you can see. Wait, let me do this. Yeah, 160. And I'm recording, by the way, so it's probably using some of my CPU there too. Maybe it's not using my GPU. Maybe it doesn't matter, I guess, because it's not using the encoder or something. It's a software, but still. So yeah, I mean now, and we haven't even disabled msar.ntl using method is 0. Now let's see FPS. Okay, yeah, only 10 FPS. I thought it would have been bigger. So anyway, now we have to, yeah, we have to disable this. We have to disable the SMA on, like when you start the engine it will be disabled. So let's go to my project. This is my project, and go to config, and then on default engine. Okay, and then here you can actually find r.nt. Just search, yeah, make it 0. Let's make this 0. Save Control S to save it, and then just launch it. Let me put it on desktop so I can easily access. Now let's see if it's disabled or not. Yeah, you can see anti-aliasing set to none when I start the engine. And you can also do the unlit thing, like when the game starts, it will go to unlit. So in the level editor here, open level blueprint, when the level, the specific level starts, so we're gonna execute console command, view mode, sorry. Yeah, you can see. And now let's display FPS, and it's running at 100, and it's actually running at more. Max FPS 300. It's running at 150, 170 with recording. And now let's, you know what, let's add a first person controller. Yeah, so we can actually see. Yeah, now we will see the actual performance. Player start, player, it is compile the shaders. As you can see, even with the FPS controller. Let's put again FP weapon. Let's put the rifle here. And by the way, like when I run my screen resolution on 1080, there is a difference. Like the usually FPS goes to like 60, like half. So I like you might like just like lower your screen resolution. Like even I did. Like my resolution is like 16:10. It's a weird resolution ratio, so it runs at much lower FPS. So I mean, it's up to you if you wanna run it. That's, yeah. I mean, it's kind of hard to look. Let's add some cubes. This area level prototyping, meshes. Let's add a lot of things just for fun. Let's make all of them like it's 2.5 times. But even now, as you can see, it's running at while shooting. Still maintains 100 FPS. I promised 60, but you see, I overpromised. It's running at 100, above 100. Now let's see if, let's say you are running at a 1080p display. And by the way, the game resolution is like, yeah, it's also different. Yeah. Now let's try. Yeah, now it's running at 7. Like even now it's running good. Still not bad. Yeah, like you can, like, by the way, it's running half of 1080p because it's 50%, so it's what, like it's, yeah, lower, like 50%, whatever you can calculate. It's still playable. So yeah, I mean, it's pretty good, I would say. Like, yeah, in editor you can have sometime, like editor usually runs lower. Wait, let me try. Yeah, let's make it 50%. Yeah, it's good again. but usually you will run editor like that, but there is performance is a bit lower on the editor, but again you can lower it even more. But I mean then it won't be playable. It won't be seeable, so 50% is a good value of like most people have 1080p screen, so I mean let's see. And see, it runs fine, it runs amazing. So yeah, I mean that is it. I'm also gonna give link to this project so you can download if you don't know what to do exactly. Like just experiment with this if you have a super low end PC. Now also let's check RAM. Like how much RAM is it consuming? Yeah, 2.5. Like if you have 4 GB, I think then Windows uses like, I think it uses less than 2 GB of RAM. So you might have space. That's why I recommend 6 GB. Like like now I'm using OBS. If I close this, like you see, let's just close that. It comes to 6, and it will also cache more if you have like less RAM. So it might even be less than 6. So you need 6 to have a decent experience. So yeah, I mean that is it. I hope you enjoyed this video. Took me a lot of days, like like doing finding all the settings. So anyway, thanks for watching.